ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me? You're me, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Steelers, Raiders, old-fashioned AFC showdown between two old hated rivals going in, I think, two different directions right now. Raiders don't have a young quarterback, really don't have any direction. Steelers have a young quarterback. There are questions on offense with their offensive coordinator, but this is a quality defense. They're well coached despite some fans out there of the Steelers who don't really appreciate Mike Tomlin. And they're going to be in just about every ball game, you know. And they found a way to go on the road and get a win that they were supposed to get. 23-18. Questionable decision-making down the stretch by Josh McDaniels, who, you know, I'm very low on him as a head coach. I just thought that was a really, really questionable decision, especially after you got a gift. So kicking the first field goal, okay, I get it. You know, it's still, 3 and some change left. You got all 3 of your timeouts. If it gets to that point, you still got the 2-minute warning. There's ample time for you to get a stop, get the ball back, and win the game with a touchdown. But after they had the leveraging penalty, you burned off another minute of clock, and now you're close to the 2-minute warning. You are about 8 yards away from the end zone at this point. Are you really, really deciding to kick a field goal here? Is that what we're doing? I'm shocked by that decision, mainly because your defense isn't very good. Like, yeah, you just got 2 stops in a row, but your defense isn't good for real. You really trust that your defense is going to get you the stop that you need, get you the football back, and you're going to have ample time to move it down the field and get into the end zone, something that you haven't really done all night to begin with. How many times do you really think you're going to get down there? You haven't been down there very many times tonight. You're finally down there with a chance to tie the game. That's why you went for 2 the last time, so that the next time you got the ball, you could score a touchdown and go for 2 to tie the game. I don't understand the psychological reasoning behind kicking the field goal. But that, in a nutshell, is Josh McDaniels. So I hope you love your head coach, because he is a doofus. So the Raiders are now 1-2 on the season. Steelers are 2-1, and didn't think this would be the case, but you look up at the standings in the AFC North. Ravens lose to the Indianapolis Colts today. Never would have guessed that. They're 2-1. Browns continue to be really good defensively. Second time this season they've held an opponent to 3 points. They dominate the Tennessee Titans today. They're 2-1. And the Steelers, who beat those same Cleveland Browns last week off the strength of their defense, are now 2-1 as well. And they go to Houston next week to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, and look, don't want to count them out. You saw what they did to Jacksonville today, right? So you just never know. But if you're Pittsburgh, you like your chances going to Houston next week with a chance to get to 3-1 on the season. So big win for the Steelers. Let's talk about the Steelers. I thought the run game was a lot better tonight. Najee Harris, 19 carries, 65 yards. Obviously not a great average, but I thought it was more impactful. We really hadn't seen Najee have any space in the run game in the first 2 weeks. Jaylen Warren continues to be just a Swiss Army knife. Whatever you need this guy to do, he does it. Catch the football, run, pass protect, you name it, he does it. 8 carries, 29 yards. Again, not an overwhelming night on the ground, but when you couple it with what they had been doing in the past, it looked like they were absolutely firing off the ball, clicking on all cylinders in the run game. They really struggled to run the football, really putting a lot of pressure on their young quarterback, Kenny Pickett. But tonight, they were able to take a little bit of that pressure off of him, and you saw the end results, 16 of 28, 235, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only took 1 sack in this game. Thought Kenny Pickett played pretty much a clean game. Now, he should have thrown a pick 6, and he could have thrown another pick. He threw some very dicey balls out there, pause. However, the Raiders didn't take advantage, and that's something you have to do if you plan on winning in this league. is you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get to take advantage of in a ball game. You may only get one. You can't afford to drop it. You may get two. There may not be another one. They got an opportunity for a pick six. You lose this game by 5 points. I'm not saying the game would have played out the way that it did had you gotten that pick six, but who knows how the game plays out if you would have gotten that pick six. Instead, you don't. The Steelers really took full control of this game, and at one point, as we know, we're leading 23-7, and they hold on at the end, 23-18. Defensively, I thought there were some really bad calls. The Minkah Fitzpatrick roughing the pass, that's trash. Jimmy ducked first and foremost. He saw Minkah at the last second. He ducked. Minkah didn't do anything wrong. That's trash, man. Let them play. Jimmy was okay. He got up. What are we doing here, dude? Seriously. That is a terrible call, and that could have altered the outcome. If they score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, that could have altered the outcome of this game. You cannot do that. It's a bad call. Luckily enough for the Steelers, they were able to overcome that. I've seen some questionable decisions by coaches. I've already talked about that decision to kick the field goal. When you get an opportunity to do it again and you make the same decision, you make the same mistake, I struggle with that. You know, when Andy Reid decided to go for it on 4th and 20 with 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning at his disposal, down 1, and then he got a false start, and it was 4th and 25, and he got a chance to think about it, and then he went for it again, I can't rationalize that. My brain won't function in that space. It just can't figure out why that makes any sense. And I'm looking at this situation, and my brain can't compute why you're kicking a field goal in that situation. But the Steelers made enough plays in this game. Patrick Peterson with another interception puts him in the lead for the most interceptions by an active player in NFL history. He's a Hall of Famer, right? We can agree he's an Hall of Famer at this point. Big pick, big play with him. Levi Wallace with the pick at the end. I think Levi had 2 picks in this game, if I'm not mistaken. 3 on the night for Jimmy Garoppolo as a whole. TJ Watt, was TJ Watt, had a sack and about 3 or 4 near sacks in this game. Steelers, how many sacks did they have? I think they have like 4 sacks. Keanu Benton with a nice sack. There was one play where I don't know how the hell Jimmy Garoppolo even handed the ball off. There was so much interior pressure immediately off the snap, and somehow he was able to get the ball into the hands of Josh Jacobs. At one point, that ball was suspended in the air, and Jacobs just was able to somehow corral it and just, get up into the hole and get about maybe 3 or 4 yards. But I like this Steelers defense. You know how I feel about Pittsburgh. You know how I feel about Mike Tomlin. And you know how I feel about Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett is going to be really solid. I love the fact that they've got him a number 1 wide receiver he can grow with in George Pickens. When they finally get back Deontay Johnson to go with what they already have at receiver and tight end, I think it's going to be a complete offense, and they're going to be really scary and dangerous to deal with, coupled with that defense, a really outstanding kicker, and Chris Boswell. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't beat themselves usually. Kenny Pickett's still young, and there's still going to be mistakes and growing pains. But, when they eliminate the turnovers and the mistakes, that defense with special teams and with the offense that they're capable of playing, I think they're going to be a tough out, just like we've seen with Mike Tomlin over the years. You count them out, and all of a sudden you look up at the end of the year, they got 9-10 wins, and they're vying for a playoff spot. I think that's going to be the case this year. And with the Cincinnati Bengals stinking it up, I think the Steelers are going to be right there at the end of the season. When it's all said and done, I have them winning the division. Before the season started, I have not moved. I have not waffled on that. I still think this is a playoff team. I don't know if they're going to win that division or not, but I don't love what I've seen from Baltimore, and I'm not buying what I'm seeing from Cleveland. So right now, I still feel good about Pittsburgh winning that division, and they're sitting right where they need to be at 2-1, heading to Houston in week 4. Got to feel good about what you're doing without Deontay Johnson since week number 1. So they're only going to get better on the offensive side of football. So big win for the Steelers in this game. You go to the Raiders side of things. They're 1-2 after this loss. they're just so disappointing in so many respects. So you got the whole Chandler Jones situation. That's just, it's not like he played well last year. Let's just get that straight. You know, excuse me, you listen to the telecast and you would think that he had 9.5 sacks last year. He barely made an impact last year. The only play anybody remembers him for last year is when the Patriots did that stupid ass lateral and threw it right to him and he runs it in for a touchdown on the final play of the game. He really didn't have an impact last year. That said, he's still Chandler Jones, and you got a rookie you spent the top 10 pick on, and the guy is invisible. Your second round pick, tight end Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, is also invisible. Had a 2-point conversion tonight, but you're not even using this guy. So you're asking yourself, well, what are we doing here with some of these draft picks? You got Jimmy Garoppolo. You have obviously one of the best receivers in the game in Devontae Adams. I really liked Jacoby Myers. Thought he was excellent in week 1 against Denver. Then he got the concussion and didn't play in week 2. He's back in week 3. Thought he did some good things tonight. You got talent. This isn't a talent issue, right? They've put talented football players around Jimmy Garoppolo. They've tried to insulate him and make him less of the focal point and just a point man to go out and get the football to talented guys in space. But it just hasn't worked out. You know, week 1, you squeak by a bad Denver Broncos team. Week 2, you get your doors blown off by the Buffalo Bills. And in week 3, you come home, you're thinking, hey, Pittsburgh Steelers here, they're struggling on offense. People's calling for their offensive coordinator's head. We got an opportunity. Just like the Buffalo game, they march down the field, first possession, make it look easy, make it look like, hey, this is going to be one of those nights. And then they get stuck on 7 and literally didn't move from the number 7 until the late stages of the fourth quarter, mid to late stages of the fourth quarter. So, one of the things I can't stand is a head coach that's supposed to be geared towards one side of the ball, and that side of the ball stinks. Like, Mike Tomlin is a defensive guy through and through. So if nothing else, the defense is going to be solid. It may not be Blitzburg, it may not be dominant, but they're not going to absolutely stink. Maybe an aspect of it might stink. Maybe the run defense might not be great. Maybe the pass defense may not be great. But as a whole, the defense isn't going to just suck. You look at the Bears and what they're doing, they got a defensive-minded head coach, and yet they're getting sliced and diced defensively. And you're asking yourself, what the hell's going on? You're supposed to be a defensive-minded guy. What are we doing here? It's a lot of shit going on in Chicago right now, obviously. You look at the Chargers and you look at Brandon Staley, and you're like, bro, you're supposed to be a defensive mastermind. You got all these defensive pieces that you've drafted over the last few years. It's supposed to be a really good defense. What are we doing right now? Why are we losing football games? Because the defense can't get stops, right? Conversely, you're an offensive guy. You're Josh McDaniels. This is what you did with Tom Brady for many years in New England. What's going on here? You got all this talent. I just talked about all the guys you have offensively. Why is this not working? Why can't we score points? Oh, no. It's a great question. So, frustrating if you're a Raiders fan. This defense continues to struggle. Kenny Pickett had not thrown multiple touchdown passes in any of his starts in the NFL to this point, and then he throws 2 tonight. And you had to be the team to give it up, right? The Steelers, struggle is an understatement to run the football. There has been no space in the run game for the Steelers whatsoever. And of course, it wasn't like egregious. They didn't average 4 yards a pop tonight, but there were games where they were averaging less than or right around 2 yards a carry. They were really bad running the football, and that wasn't the case tonight. There was a semblance of balance that took pressure off of Kenny Pickett. So I do like Divine Diablo, though. He's one of my favorite Raiders outside of course, Max Crosby. I love me some Divine Diablo. Loved him coming out of Virginia Tech. I think he flies around, but I think there's a lot of issues, and I already told you, much like Sean Payton, there's a lot of bad karma surrounding Josh McDaniels. I don't know how you win consistently with this guy as your head coach. Just a lot of bad juju, When you say the things and you do the things that he's done throughout his career, same thing with Sean Payton. There is definitely retribution coming from the football gods. It's unavoidable. So I've said this before. I'll say it again. I said it in the offseason. It's only a matter of time before Devontae Adams is demanding a trade. And it's not because he's not getting a rock and getting enough targets. He's still Devontae Adams, which is why he should get out, while he still can play at a high level and be that guy for some team. Like DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know if he's that guy anymore. It's cool for him to go out there. I want out. I'm like, bro, I don't really. You didn't have a step to give to begin with. I don't know if you scare anybody anymore. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Devontae Adams is still that dude. Over 1,500 yards last year. Well on his way to doing it again this year. How many did he have tonight? I mean, he was incredible. 13 catches on 19 targets, 172 yards. He almost had 100 yards in the first half. Both of the Raiders' touchdowns on the night belong to Devontae Adams. He's still that guy. He can help somebody. And if you're the Raiders, why not get something for him? You're not going to be able to utilize him. Your window of opportunity was already shut. It was never open, and it's not going to be open while he's any good. Might as well get something for him. I don't know if you're going to do shit with the picks that you get, for him in exchange, but that's no here nor there. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, I know a lot of people are going to shit on Jimmy, and the numbers aren't great. 28 of 44, 324, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, sacked 4 times. I know those numbers sound disgusting. And look, there were times where Jimmy missed some things tonight. There were times where Jimmy was absolutely magnificent. I'll say this. You put Jimmy Garoppolo on the right team. And to me, there is no better place for Jimmy than the Jets. Oh my God, Jimmy would be just like he's back in San Francisco all over again. You put him on that football team with that talent, that defense, and Jimmy Garoppolo would be right back to where he was. He could take them to the AFC Championship game, just like he did the 49ers, the NFC Championship game. He can't be a difference maker on this Raiders team. They're not good enough as a team. Jimmy Garoppolo cannot carry an entire football team. He's not good enough to do that. You put him in a situation where he's insulated, there are playmakers, and there's a top flight defense and a run game to support him, and he can be deadly. We saw it tonight. There were some throws where you go, yeah, that's Jimmy doing that Jimmy shit. And then there's times where he throws a pick and you go, yeah, that's Jimmy doing that Jimmy shit. He's not going to flourish in Vegas. No way, no how. It's just not enough. They're going to ask too much of him, and there's no way he can deliver that because he's Jimmy Garoppolo. And tonight was a great example. They just needed a few more plays. And some of it is the offensive line. You got to play with Jacoby Myers running up the seam wide open for a touchdown, and Jimmy doesn't even get to the top of his drop, and he's sacked. Keanu Benton is diving at him, and he's like, damn, I didn't even turn around from play action fake yet good. Get to the top of my drop, and I already got to do it in my lap. What's going on right now? So all of it isn't Jimmy, but it's still Jimmy. And then you throw in the fact that your head coach is Josh McDaniels, and you go, I don't know. And Patrick Graham is, I don't know. And it's just, Anyway, I digress. Raiders get the win, or excuse me, Steelers get the win, 23-18, 2-1 on the season. Raiders drop to 1-2. See who the Raiders have next. Raiders have the Chargers, so a nice AFC West family business matchup. That's a big one. You can't afford to fall to 1-3 on the season, so both of those teams will be desperate there. And if you look at their next 5-6 opponents, Chargers on the road at the Chargers, home for the Packers. That's going to be on Monday Night Football. Patriots the following week. You got the Patriots at home. Bears after that on the road. Lions after that on a Monday night on the road. And then the Giants at home. So there are winnable games in here. I just don't see you winning a lot of them. I think you can beat the Bears. We'll see what the Giants are by the time you get to them. Patriots are iffy, and you're at home. That's a winnable game. Packers obviously figuring some shit out. That's a winnable game, but are you going to win them? It's the question. It's the $1 million question. Don't really know if they're going to figure it out or not. But anyway, I digress. Got a bunch of new members here from earlier, so we don't need to get through all of those. This one looks new, though. A lot. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Welcome to the squad. Salud. Had to take a little bit off the edge, man, after a 37-3 ass whooping. Needed a nice, hard, stiff one. Pause. Swaggy P. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB for 11 months. Almost a year. A lot of blowouts and dumb coaching decisions today. It's part of the NFL, man. A lot of times we underrate the importance of in-game decisions that are made by coaches, but they really impact the final outcome of games. And I've talked about it throughout the season. I brought up Andy Reid's decision in week 1, and I thought that was dumb. Talked about Belichick and his decision in week 1 against the Eagles. And then conversely, in that same game, Nick Sirianni's decision that gave Belichick a chance to redeem himself at the end of the game. Just 2 stupid decisions, and you see these decisions and you don't really know in the moment how it's going to impact you, but you always, put a little tab in there. You take a little thumbtack and you stick it in there and you say, hey, we're going to put a pin in that. If we lose this game, we're going to come back to that pin. We're going to pull it out and we're going to read this shit because that was dumb as hell, right? And you see that from week to week, and there are a lot of coaches that get it, and then there are a lot that don't understand the magnitude of some of the decisions that they're making. I was watching one game today, and they challenged a play that they knew they weren't going to win, and because a couple of players ran over and said, challenge that, and you got to be smarter than that shit. You got to have people up there that's looking at the replays telling you, bro, nah, don't waste that shit. You ain't winning that. Don't do that shit, And you don't know if you're going to need that timeout or not, especially in the second half. But anyway, I digress. Mike Jank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Louie Lou, after tomorrow, you know what's up. I'm looking forward to that Bucks game, man. The entire division loss, I'm just looking to make it a clean sweep. I'm looking at the AFC North, and I'm like, shit, everybody's 2-1. I didn't think everybody would be 2-1. Thought the Ravens would definitely be 3-0, and they didn't get it done. I'm looking at you and I'm saying, hey, no, this is the thing I'll say about the Eagles. Generally, they take care of business against teams they're supposed to beat. So I expect you to take care of business against Tampa, but they're 2-0. They're playing with confidence. They haven't been turning the ball over. We'll see what happens. That's a quality defense. I have not been impressed with what the Eagles have done early in the season necessarily. We'll see what happens, but I expect you to be 3-0 after Monday night. I look forward to being the one to give you your first loss of the season, just like last year, just like all times. I look forward to that. But I wouldn't mind if the Bucs said, hey, I'm going to beat you to it. Hey, do your thing, man. Whoa, there. Do your thing. I'm not going to step in the way of anybody doing what they feel like they need to do. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JP, writes, Lou, we need to have a real conversation about the Bears benching Fields and Eberflus being on the hot seat. Caleb Williams to Chicago, perhaps? I mean, that's the prevailing thought if it doesn't work out with Fields, is that they'll be in a position, and they have draft capital. Don't they still have picks from Carolina? Like, it's not over. So that's the prevailing thought, is that they'll be in a position to do whatever they have to do to get up to number 1 if they feel like they need to do that. If they're going to do that, though, Matt Eberflus can't be your head coach because he's not an offensive-minded guy. If you're going to do that, if you're going to go get the number 1 overall pick, just like the Panthers did, you need to marry him with an offensive mind. You're not looking to spend the number 1 overall pick on a quarterback that you think is the future, not only of your franchise, but the league. And then you're going to give him a defensive-minded head coach. That's not the way to go. So if Eberflus can't get it done this year, you got to take a long, hard look at him. If this thing bottoms out, and then look, it's really bad out there right now. It's a shit show in Chicago right now. If it bottoms out and they go 2, like they were in 3, like it's crazy because I don't think a lot of people realize the Bears only won 3 games last year. For all of the yards Justin Fields ran for and all the points that they scored, and they felt like they were in, but they won 3 games. They were 3-14. They do that shit again, you got to consider firing Matt Eberflus. Got to. And the only way that job is attractive, if I'm some prospective head coach, is if either you have the number 1 overall pick or I know you're going to go get it. And the team at number 1 doesn't need a quarterback. Because if I'm looking for it, I don't want Justin Fields. That's a no-win situation. I'm not looking to attach myself to that. That's an anvil. You're going to drown. So my guess is you ride this thing out. If Fields sucks, let him suck it all the way up. And that'll put you in a position to get what you want anyway. So we'll see what happens. It's a tough situation that they're in right now. Joshua Farish, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. All right, let's thank the Arizona Cardinals, Lou. Salud to the Arizona Cardinals for doing the unthinkable tonight or this evening. Never in my wildest dreams did I think they would beat Dallas. If not for the 49ers getting a short week against the Giants, that was going to be my survivor pick. The 49ers saved me from making a catastrophic mistake. That was going to be my survivor pick. I would have been eliminated. And the football god said, no, you will not. The Giants are right here. They're poverty-stricken. This is your ticket to moving on to week 4. Football gods, salud. Arizona Cardinals, salud. Now, all we need is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to complete the cipher. That'll be a beautiful thing. Anyway, I digress. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Duncan. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB Rights. NFC East, tomorrow we're going to show you how it's done. I'll be watching. And you know where to find me after you do whatever it is you're going to do. Whether it's dispose and dispatch of the Buccaneers like you're supposed to, or you succumb to a hungry young team who's just out here getting after it, and you go in there thinking shit is sweet. They show up, smack you around a little bit, and this ain't Minnesota turning the shit over every 2 seconds, giving you every opportunity you need to win. You show up with that same bullshit you showed up with last week, you will get your monkey ass dealt with. Whatever happens, you know where to find me when it's all said and done. I'll be right here. Right here. Looking forward to it. Brent Busby, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Brent Busby writes, Lou, love you, bro. Uh-oh. Anytime somebody says that, there's a conjunction coming, and then there's going to be a reason why they don't love me anymore. Let's see what we got this time. Love you, Lou, bro. But I've been in disagreement with you since Ron's plan. We should have took a quarterback. Be honest, we can't afford Tez and Chase now. Tell me you wouldn't rather have Tua or Herbert. That's hindsight. Brent, you can't go back to 2020. That's crazy talk. Again, you might have been one of the 7 people who wanted Herbert or Tua. Keep in mind, Tua was coming off of a hip injury. So stop that. Brent, I'm not going to sit here and let you act like you were salivating over drafting Tua, who was coming off a hip surgery. Stop, Brent. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And Justin Herbert, we looked at him as a guy that was not a leader. There's a reason Justin Herbert didn't. If everybody felt the way they feel about Herbert and Tua now, it would have been just like the 2021 draft, and it would have been just like this past year's draft, where you got quarterbacks going at the top of the draft, 1, 2, and 3. Tua didn't go 2. Herbert didn't go 2. Tua didn't go 3. Herbert didn't go 3. There's a reason that teams didn't trade up to get those players. We needed a quarterback. We had Dwayne Haskins. There's a reason we didn't take him or either one of those dudes. Because the consensus wasn't, oh, Herbert's a can't-miss prospect. The consensus wasn't Tua. The consensus was Tua's made of glass. And after last year, people were saying, yeah, Tua's made of glass. Now Tua's tearing shit up like we know he's capable of doing. But all it takes is one hit, and we'll be right back to that same narrative about Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not looking for that shit. I like Tua. I want to see him succeed. Shit, he's the only left-handed quarterback in the NFL right now. He needs to succeed. Keep that left-handed legacy alive. But don't sit here and try to act like you were all on board. And you might have been. I can't do that. I can't say that to you because I don't know how you felt back in 2020. But don't sit here now and act like you were all in on Tua because you wasn't all in on Tua back in 2020. I feel confident saying that. You might have wanted Herbert. Chase Young was the pick then. I'm not going to sit here and act like he wasn't. Chase Young was the pick then. And 95% of the fan base wanted him. And you might have been a part of the 5% that did. But we're not going to play that game. Because that's so easy to do now in hindsight. Chase Young was the pick in 2020. And you don't have to love Ron's plan, but understand what Ron's plan meant. Without Ron Rivera, we would have been spinning our wheels and going backwards. At least he kept us spinning our shit in place. We would have been going in reverse, and we would have been a beautiful wreck. People would have been watching, pointing, laughing. They were already doing that shit, but they would have been watching us doing it in reverse. At least we weren't crashing into shit because Ron kept us at least head a nose above water. Maybe not our entire head out of the water, but he kept us breathing. You give us some Joe Schmo head coach, and we would have got our shit pushed in with all the bullshit that was going on. Name changes, scandals, you name it. Just one F up after the other. So you can say what you want. I've already done this about Ron. I don't love Ron as an X's and O's guy. I don't love Ron as an in-game adjustment guy. I love Ron because of what he stands for and what he was able to do with this organization when we were at our lowest point. So there's a level of respect. Like I said, when it's all said and done with Ron, whether it's this year, next year, the year after that, 5 years from now, whenever it's all done, I'm going to stand up straight and I'm going to give Ron a nice, hearty salute. Hey, we appreciate your service. Whenever that time comes. Joshua Farish, thank you, Super Chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Joshua says, looking forward to the Super Friends to see what you will do. You already know what I'm going to do. You don't have to wait until the end to know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to do me. That's all I ever know how to do. I ain't switching it up. We 2-1. We ain't old. Last time, when we did this last year, this time, we did it right around week 6 or so, 5, somewhere in there. We were 1-4. We were 1-4. Whatever we were. I think we were in that neighborhood. We were 1-4. And left for dead. And I still was talking. And I told LB that episode, which was insane when you think about it. They were undefeated. They were steamrolling teams. They had already beat the brakes off of us once. And I told LB, don't let me catch you out of here in these streets undefeated, boy. Don't let me catch you out here in these streets undefeated. And we caught him in the streets undefeated. you know the rest. Trying to catch him in the streets undefeated again. But, hey, I'm promoting the Bucks to do what they need to do. By all means. I want the Bucks to do whatever it is they feel. If they feel like they need to get their ass whooped, go get your ass whooped. You feel like you need to do the ass whipping? Hey, you got my blessing. Go ahead and make it happen. JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, John Perez. Double up. I had to make sure that was a double up. I assume we're going to get that Caleb pod soon. I'm surprised you're not as high on him as everyone else is. You really think he's got some red flags? No, I never said that. The thing that I said, and we'll talk about it when we get, talk about him on the podcast, and I've got a different perspective on it, but I don't like it So first of all, I don't like. I'm not gonna say too much. I'll save it for the podcast. I'll just say this. He's got a air about him. He's confident, but it borders on the side of cocky. I think he's more on the side of cocky than he is confident. I feel a way about that because there's a certain way that as a quarterback, you need to conduct yourself. But I don't know the kid. This is why I don't like saying crazy stuff out my mouth because I don't know him. I'm not a USC fan. You know, I take bits and pieces of this quote here. You know, I listen to this little press conference there, and I gather things and I draw inferences and maybe conclusions that aren't 100% factual. So I try to be careful with that because he's a young man. This dude ain't even 20 years old probably yet. He might be. I'm tripping. He got to be 20 years old. Got to be at least 21. But he's a young dude. I'm not looking to shit on him. That ain't what I'm trying to do. But I see some things where I'm like, I don't think I love that. But on the field, what is there not to love? I wanted to not like him. Impossible. Impossible. Brent Busby, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I was, though. We drafted 2 first-round D tackles. We could have traded down for a pick, bro. No team has ever paid 2 first-round D ends. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm not telling you you're wrong. This is the thing that they were looking at. Ron Rivera is a defensive-minded guy. He took this job, and he had Montez Sweat, and he had the 2 defensive tackles, and he wanted Joe Burrow. And they called Cincinnati about going up to number 1, and Cincinnati said, have you lost your damn mind? Hell no. Hey, don't call me again. No. Don't lose my number. That's what I would have done the same thing. Like, yo, y'all, hometown kid went to Ohio State. You don't want to bring him home? Take Chase Young. It was like, bro, stop playing with me, man. Don't call me again. I had to try because Joe Burrow was the prize of that draft. I wasn't interested in the other 2. I actually liked Tua, but I can't deal with the injury stuff. So I was off of Tua. Herbert he didn't move the needle for me because I didn't think. I looked at Marcus Mariota and I said, he's Marcus Mariota 2.0. I was wrong about that, obviously. But that's what I said. He went to Oregon. There's this air about, these Oregon quarterbacks, really soft-spoken guys. They're playing this wide-open spread offense. Guys are running wide open. Herbert's got all the tools. I remember saying he's toolsy. Every tool you could ask for. Size, athleticism, arm talent. He's got it all. But does he have it here? Can he be a leader of men? Can he make those critical plays in crucial moments and mentally be locked in? The answer is yes, he can. At that time, it was no, he can't. And so I ended up being wrong. But Ron got this job, and he wasn't thinking about that. He's like, all right, I already told the boss man I was going to give Dwayne Haskins a shot. And remember where we were in 2020, coming off the 19 season, Dwayne's rookie season. Don't act like he didn't have a nice finish to that 19 season that we were all excited about. All right. I never wanted Dwayne Haskins. That's been documented, well documented. Never wanted him. I was a Drew Lock guy. All right. How'd that work out? But I was a Drew Lock guy through and through. I mean, Jay Gruden even said, I don't want anything to do with Dwayne, but I'll take Drew Lock. Right. But it didn't matter. That whole entire draft class outside of Kyler Murray was dookie. It's Daniel Jones. It was Dwayne Haskins. It was Drew Lock. And we took Dwayne Haskins, and he played well towards the end of that season. And when Ron took the job, he told Daniel Snyder, I'm going to give him a chance. So drafting a quarterback wouldn't have made a ton of sense if you're going to give Dwayne Haskins a shot. You just drafted him the year before in the first round. So you get it. And you got a chance to add Chase Young and make, if nothing else, Ron saw an opportunity to turn this into an elite defense. That's going to be the quickest way to turn around what was the worst roster, arguably, in football at the time when he took over this organization. The quickest way to start winning football games is to find a way to play sound defense and minimize the amount of possessions and keep teams from scoring points. You can win games that way. That's what Ron was thinking. Whether right or wrong, that's what he was thinking. I can't fault him for that. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy JP writes, Cowboys lost and the Yankees aren't going to the postseason. Americans won today. LOL. Look, we knew the Yankees weren't going to the playoffs. Anytime the Cowboys lose, it's a momentous occasion, but we ain't on the Cowboys like that where they lose again. You know, it means more to us as NFC East fans than, you know, everybody else is. You know, it's easy to hate the Cowboys, but it ain't like they've been tearing shit up in the NFL, winning championships and shit. They ain't the Patriots. They ain't the Chiefs. I don't even hate the Chiefs. Some of you do. I don't. They're like the San Antonio Spurs to me. They're lovable guys. Like, how can you not love that whole crew, right? Even the State Farm commercials are great. You know, the Mahomes and the Motto commercial where Kelsey's like, well, I got to change my name. Why you can't change your name to Kelsey's, say how much you can come save at State Farm or some bullshit. They're like, hey, Mahomes, Motto, get over here. And he's like, man, like, how many fat Andy Reid commercials can you stand where he's talking about food and eating food? Who doesn't love that? They're lovable guys. Cowboys, don't nobody give a shit. They haven't won nothing, and just like we haven't won in 3 decades. Who gives a shit about what the Cowboys are doing? They lose all the time. Joshua Ferris, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Joshua Ferris writes, Lou, do you know any Denver fans? You should check on them. Let's cry. I do know a few Denver fans. My wife actually is from Denver. One of her closest cousins is a Denver Broncos fan. They grew up in Colorado, obviously, or in Denver. I shouldn't say Colorado specifically, but yeah, that's a rough one to give up 70 in a game. It's a rough one. I told y'all that the Dolphins look like a track team, and I think you got to see it. And I'm so jealous. I hate that. I hate when I'm being jealous. That's not a good emotion. I'm so jealous watching them, though. I just want one. Just give me one of those dudes, man. I'm talking about running back position. Just give me one of those dudes, man. Devin A. Chain had 200 yards rushing today. What? Raheem Mostert, again, these dudes look like they running at a, like, they look like cartoon characters, like, beep, beep. Shit is crazy. 70 points? Jeez. I talked to one earlier on the stream, and he was like, bro, I'm so embarrassed. But that's all Sean Payton's fault. It's all Sean Payton's fault. I don't know if there's a coach in the NFL with worse juju than Sean Payton. What an asshole he is. Jesus, he's an ass. 24-year Snyder survivor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, why do fans act like when a QB has a bad game, they trash as if every QB hasn't had a bad game in their career? That's what fans do, especially fans of the other team. Look, understand that when I talk trash, I'm going to bring an undue amount of backlash towards said player, team, individual, whatever. I don't care nothing about that. You know I don't care nothing about that. But understand that it's heightened when I start a campaign and I hype this guy up. Of course, they're going to act like he wasn't just making his 4th career NFL start. I get a kick out of it because it's comical. Like Jalen Hurts didn't go to the Meadowlands and throw 3 picks and lose to a bad Giants football team. You know, it's comical. Like Dak Prescott didn't lead the entire NFL in interceptions. Like these are full-blown adults we talking about here, not puppies. These are supposed to be big dogs. We trying to potty train our dog to not piss and shit all over the house. He's a pup. It's his 4th career NFL start. He got these big ass adult dogs, right? That have been trained for many years and they still pissing and shitting around the house. Explain that to me. That's the shit that I don't understand. But this is why they don't want it with me. Because I air they shit out for everybody to see. That's right, me, your man, Louie T. They better come correct on Wednesday. Because if they don't, it's going to be a long night. A long night. Anyway, I digress. So, see if we got a couple, let me see if we got a few comments. We got a little bit of time to play with. Storm, my guy, resident Raiders fan. See what Storm talking about. Raiders haven't had a decent defense in literally 20 years, and it continues tonight. Fire Patrick Graham. Be honest with you, Patrick Graham is the least of your worries right now. You got to score points. In the one game that you won, you scored 17. How many did you score last week? Huh? Have you scored 20 this year yet? Answer me that. Because Patrick Graham, the last time I checked, Storm, he don't coach defense. Did you score 20 this season yet? Yes or no? I know the answer. You know the answer. Okay? Let's look. I know Patrick Graham isn't the best defensive coordinator, but he ain't the worst either. Okay? Held the Broncos to 16 points. You held the Steelers to 23 points tonight. You hold a team to 23 points, you're supposed to have a chance to win. You can't have a chance to win when you haven't scored 20 points all season long. You're not going to win very many games scoring less than 20 points. So, there's that. Mr. Flapjack, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Hey, Lou, it's not often I get to catch you live because of work. Got to show some love. I appreciate that, Mr. Flapjack. Looking forward to seeing how Sam and the boys respond after this loss." And normally I don't watch the press conferences after the game until after this stream, but I went ahead and watched it at halftime. I was so anxious to see what they had to say. And I like what everybody in the locker room had to say. Terry spoke. Andrew Wiley, I almost was like, yo, I don't even really want to hear from you right now, bro. But I can't be like that to him. I mean, he's not my favorite right now. But they spoke to Terry, Andrew Wiley, Brian Robinson. I'm going to tell you, B-Rob, not happy. We're going to talk about that. We'll save that for tomorrow. But the thing that I heard from Ron and Sam that was encouraging is that, hey, this is a part of the process. And for Sam, he was like, yeah, this is on me. I got to tighten up. I got to be better. And, we talk about flushing it. It's a bad game. You take what you can take from it and you move on. But he's like, nah, you can't just flush it. You got to learn. And I talked about it. He's going to learn from this. Remember that Cowboys interception he threw? Triple coverage in the corner. You're like, bro, what the F? You can't. Have you seen him throw another interception that's looked anywhere close to that? No. Because he generally doesn't make the same mistake twice. A lot of the picks he threw today were bad. A lot of the sacks he took today were bad. A lot of the mistakes that he made today, they were bad. He also did some good things in the game today. And I think the lessons that he will learn from this ass whooping will benefit this team greatly. I'm going to tell you this, and I mean this sincerely. From the worst thing that could have happened to the Eagles was us taking this ass whooping in this game. They would have much rather had us coming in overconfident than coming off of a fresh ass whooping. The wound, I'm talking about the webs are still fresh. Them shit still hurt. You can't even sit down. They're going to be laser-like focus in practice this week. I think that great week of practice is going to turn into a great performance on the road in Philadelphia. And you know, all of this wake-up call shit, we didn't need a wake-up call. Good teams need wake-up calls. we don't classify as a good team yet. 2-0 doesn't make you a good football team. But what I do think it's going to do is it's going to take our focus that was already solid. We just got beat by a better team today. And it's going to turn that shit up even more. And the shit is going to be laser-like going into Philadelphia on Sunday. Got to clean up a lot of shit and got to be better fundamentally and can't turn the ball over and can't beat yourself. But I think there's going to be a greater attention to detail this week that's going to allow them to be successful and have a chance to win on the road at Philadelphia. I really do truly believe that. We'll see what happens, though. And Ron said we're going to find out how good of a team we are, how mentally tough we are physically, because I want to see how they respond. Benjamin St. Just said, we finna find out what kind of toughness we got, what kind of a team we got. We finna find out. Because the book's out now. They didn't see us. They got film. They know what we do and we don't do. We got to go clean that shit up, and we got to be ready to play next week. Or this shit will happen again. These boys know. They know what's up. 24-year Snyder survivor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, have y'all, super friends, thought about making a division title, wrestling belt trophy for the winner at the end of the season? Nah, not exactly. That's not a bad idea, though. But, I mean, to the victors go the spoils. I mean, a belt is cool, but the trash talk that comes with winning the division is priceless. Which is why they know, you heard what they said about me in 2020 when we first started, when we won the division, and we were 7-9, and I was giving them work. They don't want me to have that crown. They don't want me anywhere near that. LB is way too subdued, way too easy, right? He picks his spots, but LB, I think he knows which buttons he can press. That's why he goes to bad dog, and he's nice. He knows, hey, you don't want this smoke over here. He picks it with Cowboys fans. He loves pressing their buttons. He knows what to do. Brent Busby, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Brent writes, Lou, you hype, love it, but Ron's plan wasn't it. In that moment, it was it. Now, look, there were red flags, and Carolina Panthers fans told me when he got the job, this is what you can expect. And they did not, to a man, they did not lie to me. Everything this is the only thing that Ron has done differently that he didn't do in Carolina. He let the team get old and decrepit in Carolina. He trusted veterans for far too long, and the roster got old overnight. And Ron, remember when he first got here in his introductory press conference, said, I will not allow this team to get old. I made that mistake in Carolina. I will not make that mistake here. And that's why this team has been young pretty much since he got here. Everything else, they said, hey, he's going to say too much. He's not going to be the greatest in-game decision maker. He's going to cost you a couple ball games. Really nice guy, but you're not really going to win nothing of substance with him. They haven't been wrong. But he's respectable. And at a time when we weren't respectable, he was the face that kept us somewhat respectable. He cool, but Cam made him. You're not wrong, but it wasn't just Cam. That defense was a huge part of their success. Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis and company, Julius Peppers, all of that. But yes, Cam was the reason he was wildly successful. We're not going to front about that. Sam is our guy, but not the guy. We had a second pick. You take a QB, ask Arizona. I disagree with you. We're going to have to agree to disagree because Sam is the guy to me. Sam undeniably has talent. And you can jump off the board if you want. If you were never on it, that's cool. Stay on that side. Sam is the guy, and he's going to prove that through 17 games this season. 1 week isn't going to make me run and cower in the corner. When I told you before the season started, there would be days like this one. This is a part of the process. And if your stomach is too weak for this part of the process, get the hell out of the goddamn kitchen right now. Don't vomit in my goddamn kitchen where I got to cook my shit. Take your weak ass stomach to the bathroom. Okay? And I'm not just talking to you, Brent. I'm just talking to anybody that believed in Sam and now you jumping shit. Your stomach too weak for this? Take your ass to the bathroom and sit by the damn toilet. Don't throw up around my damn house. Okay? Either you built for this or you're not. This is a part of the process. Got to take your lumps. I'd rather you take them right now. And Benjamin St. Just said it best. I'd rather take these lumps right now early in the season when we could make the corrections than have this shit happen in week 15 like it usually does. Give me my lumps now. Give them to me in one game. 4 interceptions is a lot. It's a lot of interceptions in one game. Let me have them all. Don't spread them shits out. Next week, he might go 2 or 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Who knows? We'll see. Eric Sunderland. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Eric, right. So happy Cowboys lost, but I'm out of the Survivor now. Hey, it bees like that sometimes. I'm happy the Cowboys lost too. Just because I still have aspirations of winning the division. I'm like, why not us? That's the mantra right now. Why not us? You would have thought we lost to Arizona today. We lost to Buffalo, one of the best teams in football. Yeah, we got our asses kicked. I don't appreciate that. I wanted to be competitive today, but we lost to a good team. Dallas lost to what we project to be one of the worst teams in football. I've been telling you about it since week 1 when we struggled with them. Hey, don't sleep on Arizona. The Giants almost found it out, and the Cowboys did find it out today. Don't sleep on Arizona. But they don't want to listen to me, though. They don't want to listen to me. And the Giants got their ass whooped by the team that just lost to the Arizona Cardinals. Then they turned around, and they got their ass, and the 49ers are a really good team. Got their ass whooped by the 49ers, and they should have lost to the Cardinals. They should be 0-3 right now. But you don't hear me, though. Don't pay attention to me. You don't hear me, though. I ain't talking about nothing, man. I'm just over here flapping my gums, man. Don't pay me no mind. Niners fan. Says, I am not missing Jimmy and his dumbass throwing boneheaded picks every game. Hey, you win some, you lose some, but you live. You live to fight another day. And that's what Jimmy does, man. Jimmy will throw a dumbass pick, but Jimmy will also have you in some shit. You should know, took your ass to 2 NFC championships and took you to a Super Bowl 1 year. I'm not saying it was all Jimmy. We know the defense and the run game were stellar, but you don't get there without Jimmy either. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Anyway. I know you don't miss him, and you shouldn't. Storm, there were a lot of reasons Jimmy wouldn't work in Vegas. Never thought it would be because he's an interception machine. You must not have been watching Jimmy in San Francisco. See, this is the thing about Jimmy. Excuse me. Jimmy was highly effective in San Francisco because they protected Jimmy from Jimmy. Easy throws, dominant run game, outstanding defense. So they minimized the impact of what Jimmy had to be week in, week out. There were some weeks where, hey, they needed Jimmy to step up. And Jimmy was going to have to sling that bitch around, and Jimmy was going to have to make some plays. But for the most part, they tried to make sure Jimmy wasn't a huge part of why they had to win the game. You're asking a lot more of number 10. And when you ask a lot more number 10, you get a lot more from number 10. I never said if it was going to be good or bad, though. Now, did I? You get a lot more of a what? That's up to interpretation. I can't answer that for you, Storm. I can't do it. Storm says, despite all the narratives around McDaniels, the reason he might get fired is because he can't choose his QB. If AOC ain't it and Jimmy ain't it, can his ass. I've always said that guys like him make a living off of guys like Tom Brady. Adam Gase made a living off of Peyton Manning. Those dudes aren't necessarily quarterback gurus. You give them talent, and they're good. They're offensive minds, and they can put guys in positions to be open. If the quarterback can make the throws, they're going to look like geniuses. But they're not necessarily the best evaluators of quarterback talent. Like, hey, this is like Andy Reid saw Patrick Mahomes in all his splendor and traded up from the low 20s, you know, all the way up to the high teens, like 11 or whatever it was, 10, to go get his ass. He saw the talent that was Patrick Mahomes. All that running around and backyard football shit he was doing at Texas Tech that nobody else loved, which is why he fell out of the top, 9 picks. Andy Reid said, hey, let his ass get to 10. I'm going to go get him because I see the shit. That ain't Josh McDaniels. He don't see shit. All right. Jonathan Hankey. Hey, shout out to your Colts, man. Y'all 2-1. Did you see that shit coming to start the season off, Jonathan? No, the hell you did not. Says, I'm so glad Snake McDaniels declined to be our head coach. Never wanted that guy to be my head coach for my Colts, LOL. You got lucky. You dodged a bullet and you didn't even know you was dodging a bullet. You were mad that he did the shit he did. And I was like, you should be glad. Y'all should be throwing a damn ticker tape parade that this man turned your job down. You just saved yourself 5 years of heartache. Now you let that be somebody else's headache. Rocky D. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, how do you feel about Usher being a halftime act? Do you have anyone in mind? I got no problems with that, but I expect a lot of his pop, up-tempo. Like, we ain't getting the R&B Usher, But it should be a good time. I'm not a halftime guy, so I don't really give a shit. Halftime is my opportunity to go take a dump, take a bath, go get me something to drink, something to eat. Anything but watch halftime. That's what I do. I missed the one halftime show I wish I would have watched when Janet Jackson's nipple was out. I was taking a shower. Missed that shit. So I'm not a halftime guy. Good for Usher. I don't never watch the shit. Normally the halftime show is on mute at my house. My wife watching, hey, you can have a remote. I'll be back. Good for Usher, though. I'm an Usher fan, so good for him. Can't hurt. All right. Let's see. I think we can take a couple more. Get out of here. If there's something else here. I see somebody said Bad Dog Stream had a field day. I saw he had a little funny short that he did where he's at home looking for the Commanders offense. I love it. A 1-2 team trying to talk trash. That's still looking for points. I scored 3 today. Without any points today, we still got more points on the season than the Giants. That's how bad it's been for them. But look, of course, when you in your feelings, I struck a nerve. I love it. I struck a nerve. I struck a nerve. HTTR Carson writes, either AZ Cardinals are half decent or we got some overrated teams in this division. What I tell y'all about Arizona? I said, look, Arizona's better than you think. I said, I don't expect them to beat anybody in this division. But I said, if you think you're going to show up, Arizona's going to lie down for you, and you're going to walk in there and waltz out of there with an easy dub. You got another thing. Everybody was laughing. Key and ha, 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 ha. Key. After we won 20-16. Oh, you barely beat Arizona. Oh, really? Then the Giants had to find out. Oh, this shit ain't as easy as I thought it was going to be. Tried to tell your dumb ass. Dallas, oh, we going to show y'all how to do it. Y'all struggle with that. Y'all the Giants had the Commanders. And then your dumb ass couldn't even beat them. Sit your dumb ass down. Cardinals are better than you think. And you know what motivates players? When they keep hearing over and over again, you ain't shit, you ain't going to be shit, you're going to be the worst team. You think, did you see the emotion on that sideline when Kaiser White had that pick? Tell me that them boys ain't tired of hearing how trash they're going to be. They get paid too, man. They get paid too. HTTR for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, they're going to talk this week. Let them talk. Bro, they're going to talk, and I'm going to be talking right there with them. You act like I'm going to be quiet. Like they're going to slick Rick me or some shit. Sit down and eat your pizza, and be quiet. I ain't going to sit down and eat my damn slice of pizza and be quiet. Hell wrong with you? Yeah, they're going to be talking. I'm going to be right there talking too. What the Giants going to say? You 1-2. You should be 0-3. I dare you to say something to me. I double dog dare you to say something to me. With the Cowboys, you just lost to Arizona. What you gonna say? What the Eagles gonna say? Huh? 3-0, not 3-0. I don't give a shit what you gonna say. I play you this week. What you gonna say? I can't wait. Bart Scott. Can't wait. I'm made for this shit. I'm made for it. Jonathan Hankey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Jonathan, writes, didn't expect us to win today, but I'll take it, LOL. Of course you will. Who's turning down dubs? For all I know, we could lose from here on out, but I'm enjoying this one, LOL. Your kicker was clutch today, man. Your kicker was phenomenal. And Gardner Minshew, say what you want about him. And this is why I laughed at the Eagles, because they made it seem like Gardner Minshew is trash and he can't play. No, y'all was just trash as a collective unit around Gardner Minshew. Gardner can get some shit done. I'm not saying he's great, but you do what you need to do around him. He can do enough, and he got it done. I told you, I'm not sure about these damn Ravens. I ain't sure about their ass, and you damn sure went in there and beat them. Good for you, man. 2-1. Is that the division lead Is that the division lead I smell? Jonathan, is that 2-1 good for the division lead? You go, Jonathan. Enjoy. Soak that shit up. Damn right. That's first place. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rocky D writes, Washington could be in second place instead of third since they beat the Cardinals. Yeah, we in second place. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We in second place. We ain't worried about second or third. We 2-1 just like the Cowboys are. Right? We ain't squabbling over that 3 weeks into the season. Okay? But yes, technically speaking, we are in second place. June, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. June writes, that 62-yard kick from Matt Prater was nasty. I didn't know he had a 62-yarder in this game. That must have been right before half, because I remember the Cardinals were driving before the half. It was 18-10, and they weren't quite in field goal range. I didn't think they were going to get any points, and then they ended up with 21 at halftime. So he must have, he's got a monster leg. It's indoors. Matt Prater, he beat us with a 59-yarder when he was in Detroit. So we know he can kick the football. That's not a question. Jonathan Hankey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Jonathan writes, all I got to say is I love Shane Steichen. He got our guys prepared to play, ready to play. The future looks bright for us, especially if AR pans out. I just worry about AR staying healthy. If he's healthy, he could be a problem, especially with Shane Steichen. I keep telling the Eagles, I think they're going to miss him a lot. And he's already proven to be a huge asset to your organization already. I like what I've seen. I'm really shocked at how much he's gotten out of that Colts team in such a short period of time. I'm very surprised. Very, very surprised. HTTR for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Devontae is missing his Green Bay days already. He knew Aaron was leaving soon, so he wanted to beat him to the punch. But I don't think he's missing his Green Bay days as much as he's just missing winning, period. You know, he's cool with being in Vegas. He just wants to win. So it's tough when you go from winning 12, 13, 14 games every year to now being one of the worst teams in football and not making the playoffs every year, which is he's going to be his existence as long as he's in Vegas, which is why I think he's going to be asking to get out of there by the trade deadline this year. But we'll see. A lot of football left to be played. I gave you the Raiders' next 6 games. They can win some of those games. If they don't, it can get real ugly real fast. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, fall back a bit, Lou. We got cracked real hard today. See, that's the difference between me and you. Y'all want to fall back, you know, be humble. Nah, F that. I've been doing that for too many years. That shit is over with now. I've already bought my time being humble. We suck. Don't want to say nothing. I don't want to talk too much trash because we ain't a good team and I don't want nobody to say nothing to me. I already told y'all this. If you scared, say you scared, and that's fine. I'll do the talking for you. Don't worry about it. If you scared, say you scared. I'm not going to think any less of you. Okay? But I'm not backing down no more, man. We've been some soft, sorry-ass baby back bitches for too long around here in this division. People walking on us like we some kind of doormat or some shit, wiping their feet on us when they walk in the house. This the NFC East, and they wiping their feet on our ass as they walk in the division and shit. Nah, that shit over with. So no, I ain't falling back for shit. We 2-1 just like Dallas monkey ass. The Giants ain't even got 2 wins. F them. How does this coaching staff not have these guys ready? I don't think they were ill prepared. I just think they got beat by a better team. You heard the Bills players after the game. They knew, hey man, this young boy, he got some talent, but he ain't seen shit before. He young. He wet behind the ears. His breath smell like Similac. So we gonna show him a couple things, make him hold on to it a little bit longer. We know he gonna hold on to that bitch, and we gonna get to him. And they did that. This is why he has to learn. All right? This is why he has to learn. It's tough. You hate going through it, but it's a necessary evil. You can't get better at your job without actually getting on-the-job training, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes so you can correct that behavior and be better. That's what he's in the process of doing as we speak. And he'll be better because of it. I have no doubts. Same-ish, different Sunday. Hashtag beat the Eagles. That's the next task in front of us. Didn't get it done against the Bills. See if we can't correct the mistakes and get it done against the Eagles. Big game coming up on Sunday. Looking forward to it. Zoe Life, no life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I miss F.A. Obata. 2 Hill and JSW is too vanilla. I mean, let's not make F.A. Obata out to be some dynamic, off-the-bench scorer, right? Let's not make him out to be Lou Williams off the bench, where he's instant 20 points coming off the bench. Like, he's F.A. Obata. I like him a lot, too. Can't wait till he's back in the lineup. But James Smith-Williams and Casey 2 Hill are fine. Like, it is what it is. FA will be back, next week is the last week, and then all these guys, him and Darian Mathis, will all be eligible to return, and maybe they won't be back that first week. Maybe they'll try to ramp them up and get them practicing again, and they won't elevate them. They got, I think, 2 weeks, 14 days or whatever it is, before they have to make a decision once they activate him off the PUP list. So, we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's it. Let's get out of here. I thank you guys for joining me tonight. Big win for the Steelers, man. After the lackluster showing in week 1 against the 49ers, damn good football team the 49ers are. They run off 2 straight. It wasn't pretty on Monday night against the Browns, but all that matters is the end result. The defense did enough, and they got it done. They got a bona fide stud in George Pickens. Man, is he good. They got a legit number 1 bona fide stud receiver. And I love when you marry a young quarterback with a young receiver, and those two can grow together. I love when you have that combination. And I think that's one that's going to be making a ton of noise for years to come in Pittsburgh, as long as Kenny Pickett can continue to play the kind of football he played tonight and get better and better and better. Still think there are questions about their offensive coordinator, but for 1 week, he silenced the critics, got it done. That's not going to change how Steelers fans feel about Matt Canada, but they got it done tonight, 23-18 over the Raiders, who dropped to 1-2 on the season. Steelers are now in a 3-way tie for first place in the AFC North, along with the Ravens and Browns. Meanwhile, the Raiders drop to second place behind the Chiefs, who are 2-1, and in a 2-way tie for second place with the Los Angeles Chargers. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. Got one more super chat here from Rocky D. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, what's your take on Denver's coach? He going after this season? No, they're not firing Sean Payton after 1 year. No, you don't fire Sean Payton after a year. You fire a guy that might have gotten this job and you were excited about him, but he's in over his head. But that's not Sean Payton. This is a Super Bowl winning head coach we're talking about. He's not getting canned after 1 year. If anything, Russell Wilson could be gone after 1 year with Sean Payton. But Sean Payton's going to be there. They invested a lot in him. This is for the long haul. So, no, he's going to be there. But, boys, he's taking his medicine right now. He is taking his medicine now. And that shit is nasty. Anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. And we will chop it up tomorrow. LouieTeeNetwork podcast. CNN. And we got Monday Night Football. We got 2 games tomorrow, remember. 2 games tomorrow. I got a double header. Let me see if I can recall. Eagles, Bucks are first. And the nightcap is who? That's a good-ass question. Oh, Rams, Bengals. That's right. Bengals on the road. Will Joe Burrow play? Won't he play? That's the big question. Bengals, Rams. So we'll see what those 2 games look like. You know where to find me after it's all said and done here on the Louie T Network. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless. Good night.